Welcome back to Australia by Design, Landscapes and Gardens, where we are searching the country for some of the best pieces of landscape architecture, just like this space, smack bang in the centre of Centennial Parklands here in Sydney. More on this space later on. Right now, Sarah is in Perth.
Yagan Square really connects the city and brings together the many elements of WA with the stone and the concrete, all the while respecting that Indigenous culture.
What's really beautiful about this project is the narrative of the local Aboriginal people, the Indigenous story, interwoven and interconnected into the site in a way that is very distinct and very apparent.
Perth's been a city long divided. The CBD, nightlife and cultural precincts have had a whacking railway line through the middle of them. The next project joins the dots. Mark, you and your team solved a complex urban problem here.
That's right. We had the train line coming through here, which for 100 years disconnected our cultural heart of the city to the city centre itself. By opening this up, now you can see people are moving through this space. But not only that we've got this great cultural destination for people to enjoy. We've got these restaurants, we've got cafes, we've got lawn areas for people to enjoy. All of these things, which is much more than just that physical connection.
There's not many civic spaces where you're elevated up above the rooftops here.
No, that's right. It's a bit of a feat to achieve this because it's a very complex area. We're on top of the railway line, and so to get a really meaningful space like this is a great outcome. This space has to operate at the kind of larger civic scale, so we have large-scale performances in this area. This can hold up to 2,000 people for large events and performances. But what's important is that it works at that scale, but it also works at the more intimate scale. So you get these little quieter moments throughout the project as well.
We set out to design a really unique bit of landscape and architecture, and part of that started with taking all of those people that are thriving and now have access through between North Bridge and the city and from the rail, and trying to bring them into the middle of Yagan Square. So we talked about it as a heart. I mean, a really important part of our design process was a collaboration between Lyons, Iredale, Pedersen, Hook and Aspect Studios, and that idea of an integrated landscape, art and architecture is really what makes Yagan Square so vital.
Yeah, and I think a key part of that was the way in which we were working with the Whadjuk working group around understanding the complexities that we could actually bring to this place. It's about bringing these elements together in this constellation of pieces that sit in this place and start to make it what it is. And I think as part of that, the integration of the art piece by local artist John Tarry really talks about a passage of water from this higher area here, and it comes down the pathway, it reappears again, and then comes bubbling up here down the bottom.
The water source has been a big part of the Yagan Square story, and the importance of water to this particular area, knowing it was the wetlands many years ago before the development all happened in Perth. The canopy above us has a shape of the lake when you see the old map, so it's a big part of telling that story of this is what this place was. The digital tower at the back replicates the reeds that are in the water. There were 14 of them that acknowledge the 14 Noongar clans inside of the Greater Noongar Nation. Bringing that story back to be a pivotal part of Perth is really important. It's a pretty special place. I know when I brought my grandkids up here, they just loved it. My grandson's 5 and he goes, "Nan, this is the most amazing place." There's nothing like this that tells this story in our space, and Perth's been really fantastic to have this here, which is really a big part of we are here, you know, as Aboriginal people. This is our country, acknowledging that through major development today. On the opening of this process, and the people involved said, "Carol, they listened to us."
Yes, this project is about establishing a new connection for the city, and of course the remarkable technical feat to build this landscape on top of the 4 rail lines that stand below us. But what really stands out for me is the sincere collaborative process that the designers have introduced, working with the Aboriginal people of this area to really bring their stories to life.
It's time for the judges to choose which 2 projects will go through to the final.
The new backyard project's going through to the top 10, which is great.
This one went through to the final, I think largely because it was so beautifully Brisbane.
Really creates a sense of community in a high-rise building.
Yagan Square was selected to go through to the finals because it tells a wonderful story.
The impact it would have had on the people in that area who can now walk from the CBD to Northbridge is massive.
It's actually become an interactive space where people have actually come together. It's a wonderful piazza.
So that makes 6 projects that have made it through to the top 10 final as selected by our judges. Join us next time as we continue our search for the greatest landscape architecture in the country.